All right, we are live. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, my fellow comic book collectors. My name is Chris. This is my channel, We Love Comics, and I decided to do a last second video. And I'm sure in a few seconds people will see that I am on, and already we see some people coming in. So, Jordan, welcome. Daniel, good to see you. I love the fact that I could just do a video spur of the moment, and there will be people that will come and view it. So, thank you for that. I got a nice comic I want to show you. Michelle, welcome. And before I start, Ben, Daniel, Timothy, Paul, all good to see you guys. I am still selling my comic book mystery boxes, my graded and ungraded comics. I added some new ones, some Golden Age ones from the other day. Jester says hello. I say hi back. Same with Paul. Welcome. Punisher is here. They're all saying hello. Always love the friendly people. That's why I love doing these live chats. Get to interact with my subscribers and my viewers. Love that. So basically, when I do these kind of videos, I want to inspire people to be able to see that you can do this too. And when it comes to key issues, I know they can get expensive. I know some are out of range. But if you've seen video after video that I've done, I've been able to acquire very key issues, even this year alone, for half and sometimes 500 times less than what it's really worth. Because if you know what you're doing and you don't give up and you do research, you will always come up with deals. And I also tell people to make deals happen. Don't always assume that somebody that lists a comic or anything for that matter on eBay or wherever, that they are not negotiable. Some people are. I have made deals with people where they didn't even have a best offer option. And I went out of my way to contact them. Now, I wasn't trying to lowball them. I wasn't trying to, be rude or, even if they said no, I thanked them. And some people actually, after I was nice to them, changed their minds and sold it to me anyway. So I want to try and instill in people that you are only limited to your tenacity, to your brain power, in other words, your imagination, to your desire, and to control your emotions and think of it from a business aspect. Because trust me, if there's a book you want, I promise you've probably seen hundreds of them. Which means if you miss one, there'll be hundreds more just around the corner. So don't kill yourself if you don't get the one you want. Because trust me, if you buy the first one that you see, you will 99 out of 100 times overspend. And if that book goes down in value because you went with the flavor of the month and what everybody says is the, key book to get, like, for example, when I tried to warn people about the Thor issue where Captain America lifts the hammer, I gave that 6 months. Within, like, a week, that comic went down. And I know people that, for a fact, that sold that book when I told them to for $127. And now you could get that book for $20. So you got to do your research. So these kind of videos, and I'm going to put that on the camera to show you the book, these kind of videos should help you, inspire you to not always just listen to everybody else or what's popular or what the mainstream says. Do your own diligence. Know what you're researching. If you're going to do this for investment purposes, you better know what you're investing in. If you're doing it just because you love to read them or love to collect them, that's a whole different story. But I know for a fact, my videos here, if I talk about a speculation book, the views on that video will be 10 times more than one just talking about comics. So the reality is, a lot of people are interested in the value of comics. Whether you agree with that or like that, you know what? You can never really get too upset what somebody else decides to do with their own money and their own abilities. So, everybody's entitled to their opinion. So let me put on the video camera, and I will periodically put the link to my web store if you're interested in any of my comic wares. Also, if you want to join, for example, my Patreon and stuff like that, you can. All of that is in the description. So let's put on the video camera so you can see the comic, and I'll show you a little bit about this, and I'm going to tell you the deal. Now, this is a book I had to sell recently. I had a graded version of this, a 7.0, that I only had the one copy of, but because I'm trying to help my cat Luna and be able to move, sometimes you got to sacrifice stuff. But lo and behold, less than a week and a half later, I am able to acquire one that's almost as good, not as good as the one I had, but very close. And when you hear the price I paid for it, what ultimately ended up happening, you're going to see that you can acquire things even if you have to sell them. And the best part is I use the PayPal credit, so I have 6 months to pay for it. So I didn't have to have any out-of-pocket right now because that's not something I could really do. So I bought a couple of comics recently. Some I'm waiting for in the mail that are ones that I can get pressed, regraded if they're like ones you saw the other day, and signature verified and things like that. I paid with them with PayPal credit. Makes it a lot easier. I can turn around and flip them, and that will help contribute to my house. So let's get into it and show you. Victor says, hi to Luna. Hope she's doing better. She's not doing bad. She's very stable. She's not running around like a kitten. She is between 13 and 14 years old. But with all the natural foods and everything we're giving her, we got her kidneys and liver back to normal. So she still has the heart problems, she still has the pancreatitis, she still has the diabetes, but we're working on all that as well. So I'll definitely keep you updated, so thank you for that. So here is the book that I just acquired once again. Iron Man #1. Now, there's a little bit of some minor hairline color breaks. You could probably barely see them. This is probably, like you can see on the bottom, there's a little bit right there. This is probably, they said a 6.5, but the problem is this. And I'm going to show you a picture really quick before I tell you the price, because I always share the price. This is how it came in the mail, because they did it with no protection, even though I told them how I wanted it, and they decided to go the inexpensive route, and this is what I got. So the whole back, I had to switch the bag and board. So the back got bent, and I'll show you another angle so you can see. This whole part of the book got bent. So for the past couple of days, I've actually been placing this under books to press it. But there is, on the back of the book, there is a little bit, luckily not a color breaking crease, but there's a big bend that goes throughout the book. It can be pressed. So here's the best part. Because of that, they gave me an even better discount because they gave me an $80 partial refund. So let's put it this way. This book, they had it listed at $450 plus shipping and handling. I did a best offer of $200 and they accepted it. So when they did that, I always, when I purchase a book, I message them, and I'm very respectful, and I tell them how I'd like it sent, and I tell them what basically could happen if they don't. And lo and behold, they did it in the regular manila envelope with no protection, and my post office kind of just shoved it into my mailbox, which made the bend. And again, I'll show the two images of the book as I received it. You can see clearly the damage, and you'll see it even better here. Right there. So it did create some creases in the back of the book especially. Luckily, it bent a little bit in the front, but it didn't break color. So like I said, I put some books on it to kind of press it a little bit. So with the $80 partial refund, and they actually offered me $100. And I said, you know what, 80's fine. Because I want to make sure they have some money. I don't want them to end up with nothing. But they were nice enough. They originally said a $100 refund they would give me. And I told them, just do 80 and that's fine. And they didn't argue it. You don't want to take advantage either. I mean, it is their mistake. They did make the error. They regretted it. And they said it is a learning lesson. So hopefully they'll learn to never do it again. But, I mean, I do have to get it pressed and everything because of the back of the book. There's definitely a fold and it goes through about half the book. So, sometimes even if you message them, sometimes they just don't listen. But I promise you this, that person learned a lesson never to do that again. So I paid $125 for Iron Man #1. And this is probably, if the pressing gets everything out, they said a 6.5. I'm going to say a 5.5 to a 6.0. And we'll see what happens when it gets pressed. So I will be sending this in. I already sent 4 in. And again, I have the video already made. I just haven't had time to do that yet. Because of, we're trying to see. We haven't been approved yet. We're waiting. One of the things they do is they check to make sure that people aren't criminals. Because this is a gated community where they have a really low crime rate in the area. I mean, so they say. Whether it is or not, I guess we'll find out. But they want to make sure that they don't allow any felons or anything like that. And I think the worst I've ever done is probably a speeding ticket, probably 15 years ago. So I'm not worried about that, no felonies and stuff. So when they basically have to get your information, they send it to the government, and government, unless it's money, they really don't rush things. So it's probably going to be a couple of days or so before we find out if we're approved or not. Once we're approved, we have 30 days to come up with, I think I'm down to about $7,000 that I need within that 30 period day. And that's one of the reasons, well, that is the main reason why, and the only reason why I'm selling gold and palladium bars. I have 1 ounce bars, my mystery boxes, and my graded and ungraded comics, which are in the link that you see right there. Chris says, as long as the book doesn't come completely damaged, I don't really care, because I've had books come in plastic bags without bags and boards and arrived in good shape. Yeah, sometimes it's the luck of the draw. It also depends on your postal worker. I have different postal workers from time to time. There's one that I see most of the time, and they're nice enough to get out of their truck and put it on my front step. Some of the others, they just shove it in the mailbox, and they don't care what it is, and it ends up getting damaged. So it ultimately, there is some damage on the back because of the seller's neglect, but they did the right thing. They offered a $100 refund. I told them just do $80. So I got, for $125 and change, so $125.99, I got Iron Man #1. So I have it back in my collection. And who knows, if I get this pressed and dry cleaned and ends up a nice, good enough grade, it might be one book I sell again. But I want people to see that this is a book that is a key book. Iron Man #1 is a key book. Even though with the death of Iron Man, that doesn't mean you're never going to see him again, or all of a sudden nobody's going to care about him anymore. It is a major character now. It's already established. So you might have some plateaus, but you're never going to see that book become a $25 book. You'll see that with a lot of the modern books these days, so be careful with those. But my point is, even when a book is near its peak, you can always find deals. Now, even if I didn't have that deal, to pay $200 for that book is a very good deal, especially when the person had, it was $450 plus, I think, $5.99, $6.99, something like that for the shipping and handling. To be able to offer $200 and for them to say yes, shows that there are people out there that are willing to make deals. So don't always drop it by $5. Every now and then you'll get the person that gets insulted, which is just ridiculous, because, they can give you a counter offer, or they can say no. Why they get insulted? I mean, who doesn't want to try and save money? I mean, how many of you out there, if you go to buy a car, go to a car dealership and say, you know what, I want to pay exactly what you're charging? Of course you're going to haggle. So, why spend more when you don't have to? And the worst they can do is say no. But if you're afraid to make the effort, or you have that mental aspect of, oh, I can't do it, or it'll never happen, or, oh, Chris is so lucky, there's nothing to do with luck. It's time, it's effort, it's skill, it's determination, it's knowledge, and it's sometimes a little stubbornness, not giving up, but also being respectful. If you're going to message somebody, be friendly. Don't be a jerk. Don't be just directly to the point. At least be nice. Say hello. And if they say no, don't curse them out. Or don't just not say anything. Say, you know what? Thank you anyway. I appreciate the fact that you read my message and responded. Good luck with this sale. And if it doesn't work out, my offer still stands. Every now and then, somebody changes their mind. I have 2 examples of that, where they ended up ultimately selling it for lower than they wanted to, because they couldn't believe somebody was so nice. So be respectful. Victor is talking about, he has the Iron Man Submariner #1, which, by the way, predates both of those books, Iron Man and Submariner #1. That I've done a video on, in my opinion, is a very underrated, undervalued book. That's definitely one that I highly recommend to get, especially if Submariner ends up in a Marvel movie. Sky's the limit on books like that. Jerry P. says, all due respect to you, Chris, but when I offer 50% of asking, let's say I don't get a positive response, even with the message to the seller. It is a crapshoot. You're not going to get it every time. There's plenty of times where I do an offer, somebody will send back a nasty reply. To me, that just makes no sense, and it's going to make me not want to deal with the person. Some just say no, some it just automatically declines. But every now and then, it's not going to happen every time. But if you try it 100 times and it works once, and you save $200-300 on that one book, you're going to be happy at that moment. So most people, they focus on the failures instead of the successes, because on average, people fail more than they succeed. I mean, look at baseball. If you're batting 300, a lifetime 300 batting average, you have a good shot of becoming a Hall of Famer. But that means you failed 7 out of 10 times. So you don't see baseball players saying, well, I'm batting 300, but I fail 700. They don't talk that way. They focus on the positive. So people have to really, if they want to succeed, change their attitude. Because trust me, I could have easily said, like I said, I have about 30 to 40 days, depending on when I get approved. I'm still waiting to be approved for the house. And if we get approved, I have to come up with a total of, it was about $25,000 altogether, including moving fees and everything else, to get it within a month and a half's worth of time. And I lost most of my jobs, and the ones that I have, the bar owners have no idea what they're doing, so I'm not making that much money. There's always a way. I'm not robbing anybody. I'm not becoming a criminal. I'm not stealing from people. Yes, I might be selling books that some people might, for some reason, be offended or upset that I'm selling my own property. That's fine if they want to do that. But you do what it takes. It depends on how motivated you are. So some people will never understand that. Some people just like to sit on their couch and do nothing and have the world hand them everything. But what happens one day if the world decides, I don't want to give you anything anymore? Then what do you do? So, people may not like the fact that I make money selling comics and I have the PayPal, the GoFundMe page, and I sell pyramids and make organic soap, and I do massage therapy, and I'm also a DJ. They may hate that for some reason, but you know what? I'm an entrepreneur. I don't wait for somebody else to hand me something. When people buy a comic of mine, yes, I might make some profit off of it because I know how to buy low and sell high, but I don't remember the last time I put a gun to somebody's head and forced somebody to buy something. If somebody sees something they like and they want to buy it and I'm offering it for sale and they're happy and I'm happy, who cares about anybody else who has a problem with it? So don't ever let anybody else influence you unless it's positive. But always be your own person. Do your research. I cannot stress that enough. You're going to have plenty of people that are going to sit back and judge and point fingers and do the blame game or just join the flavor of the month bandwagon. And then they wonder why they lose time and time again. I mean, I'll say it how many times. Weapon H. How many people are looking for that book right now? The first Cosmic Ghost Rider. How popular is that right now? It's steady, but it's not going up to $500-600. It's declining. What about Naomi? I was warning people about that book. At one point, a 9.8 was $400. Now you can get it for $120. And raw books for under $40 I've seen. So if you want to follow the flavor of a month, because a whole bunch of people that, especially when people have a video channel where they have comic book stores, and there's plenty of them, or people on anywhere else on the websites all over YouTube that have a business and they're selling their business, be careful who you get your advice from. And even if it's positive advice, make sure you do your own research and make sure their advice that may work for them and may work for everybody else, make sure it works for you. Because, like, for example, when I showed this book, everybody's always talking about the fact that CGC sells #1. Well, because somebody didn't realize that or didn't care that a signed book sent to CGC that was not witnessed will get a green label, this book is a $1,000 to $1,200 book that I got for a grand total of $467 because nobody wants to touch the green label. So, people tend to join bandwagons because it's easier. It's popular. If you have more people on your side and less people against you, you feel protected. And that's why one of the things I can't say I struggle with, but I face with is some of the negativity because I stand alone. I don't need a group of people saying I got your back. I mean, it's nice that some people want to do that, but you want to be independent, you want to be strong, you want to be able to say, hey, what works for millions of other people may or may not work for me. So even if it's the best advice in the world for everyone else, if it doesn't work for you, don't just follow the crowd, follow the herd, because they may lead you to somewhere you don't want to be, and then what do you do? Because if you spend your whole life getting all of your information from other people, and you don't think for yourself, what happens if that information stops? Then what do you do? So that's why I try and instill this in people, to do your research, to know what you're talking about, to get advice from several different aspects. You know, like I always say with businesses, like CGC, PGX, the CBCS, and even to a lesser extent EGX, the newer company. Research. See if that particular company, for the particular comic you have, for the particular reason you're getting it slabbed, will fit for you. Not what is the most popular, because it's not a popularity contest when it comes to it. That's why they say in business, it's nothing personal, it's just business. If you make it personal, you're going to get taken advantage of, and you're going to be disappointed more times than you're going to be happy. So that's why I show these examples of these books. It's never to brag, because trust me, if I'm bragging about comic books, my life is not going in the greatest way if I wanted to think about it. I'm doing it to show that, yes, you can get Fantastic Four 52 for a cheap price the year the first movie came out. Remember my Hulk 180 that got graded a 9.0? I bought that in a bundle of books that averaged out to $5.43 a piece. The giant size X-Men that I'm sending out to be graded, that could come anywhere from 8 to a 9.0, maybe even a 9.2. And I spent $215 on that book this year. So I want to instill in people that deals can be had. And let me tell you something. I don't care about views. I don't care about how many people watch or pay attention. I have almost 8,000 subscribers. 36 people are watching right now. So that means 98 to 99% of my subscribers are not here watching. Orgon's watching. But you guys are. So my job is to help those willing to listen. Because I'm not going to force you to think about these things, and I'm not going to make you, and it's not going to affect me. But if you listen to my advice, which is think for yourself, you can get advice from me, or somebody I even don't like, or somebody I don't agree with. If it helps you, then it doesn't matter my personal feelings towards somebody. That's what some people just don't seem to understand. Because I promise you, some of the people that thumb down my videos get advice from my videos. They just never will admit it. And that's fine, because I don't care either way. But I am here for those willing to listen to my advice. And like I always tell people, judge people by their actions, not other people's opinions. By their deeds, you shall know them. So let me do today's surprise subscriber shout out. Once again, I'm going to post the link here. If anybody can share it, I really appreciate it. Like I said, it's going to be crunch time really soon, and we have to just bundle up everything and get ready to go once this happens. And we have to come up with, like I said, around $7,000 or $8,000 left. So I'm selling some pretty key books that, like one of them I'm selling is a Giant Size X-Men #1. I thought that would be one of the books that would sell that day. It's still there waiting for somebody to grab it. If anybody doesn't think that book's going to go up in the next couple of years, I don't get it. And I also, one of the books you saw the other day, I hate selling this, but this is Superman #2. Let me show you the inside of this book. Now, it is a coverless book, but you know what? Buy a page of Amazing Fantasy 15 and see how expensive it is. You'll pay $300 just for one page of Amazing Fantasy 15 that might even not even be the Spider-Man story. But I want you to see the inside of this book. I mean, yeah, it's a little creamed off-white pages, but the inside of this book is beautiful. So all somebody would have to do is buy a really bad copy of this book with a nice cover and switch it. Yes, you would get it if you sent it in to be graded. Yes, you would get a married cover. But if you look at the inside of this book, you would probably boost it up to a 3.0. Maybe a 3.5. How much you think that'll be worth? So I'm actually surprised. I had one gentleman that was thinking about it, but they haven't asked about it yet. So it's still for sale if somebody wants it. I package things well, and I make sure they're there quickly with priority mail. But, I mean, this is a book that not many people can say they have. And I know that someday, if I ever get back to the point where I can start buying, you know, big-time books again, I'll find another one of these someday. And in the meantime, if this helps me get my home and help with Luna's medical bills, because, you know, she's not out of the woods yet, and we're taking her on Monday for a checkup. And I get my house and I can start buying things again. You know, if I can do that in the meantime, it's worth it. So, Mr. Comic says, hey, Chris, how's my Sunday? I'm actually just doing nothing today. I'm actually very much relaxed because I've been doing a lot of work and a lot of stressed out from doing a lot of things on my own with no support. I mean, my wife supports me, obviously, but, you know, sometimes, like they say, if you want something done right, you have to do it yourself. So it's me and my wife doing a lot of this stuff. You know, I don't have people helping us move and things like that, packing stuff up. And I have a disability that I haven't really talked about, but we won't even get into that. But just enjoying the Sunday, and I wanted to do a video to help you guys. So the book, just in case, because you guys know me, I love to ramble. Iron Man #1, just acquired this, paid for it with my PayPal credit, so I didn't even have any out-of-pocket expenses. It was selling for $450 plus shipping and handling. I got it for $200. It came damaged because they put it in a manila envelope with no protection. I showed the images if you want to see it later. It did bend the book, so it will have to be pressed, but they gave me an $80 refund. So ultimately, I paid $125 for Iron Man #1. Not a bad price. So get out there, make deals happen, ask for deals, wait for deals. Don't use emotion. Use your head if you're doing it for investing. Otherwise, I mean, it's your money. You can overspend if you want. But if you're miserable or upset or not happy with what you purchased 6 months later, then you made a mistake. All of my books, for the most part, I'm happy with regardless of what happens, because I buy them because I love them. And the only reason I'm even selling them is for the reasons I've explained several times. So that's another beautiful thing about having investments, is if you have a situation where something comes along and you need to sell something, you have the ability to do so. And that's why I recommend getting duplicates if you can. So today's surprise subscriber shout out will be, we're going to go with Ariel Lazo. He says, hope all is well, brother, and I agree. Best way to get grails for cheap. That is our surprise subscriber shout out. So if you want to give him a surprise subscriber shout out by leaving it in the comment section, that would be great. Hit the like button if you can. I could really use the help. The share button. Hit subscribe if you haven't. And do not forget, it is not you. It's not I. It is We Love Comics. And Moon Knight, he writes something very important. I need your luck and patience. #1, get rid of luck. If you spend your whole life with luck, you will never make things happen. Make your own luck. I'm not lucky. I am somebody who doesn't give up, and I pursue things. So first advice, get rid of the word luck. Patience, you have to develop it. Because whether you get a book or don't get a book, you're going to wait for it anyway. So you might as well wait for it and get a good price worth bragging about. You know, somebody could have paid $450 for this book, and they could have been really happy with it. But you know what? Even if I didn't have it arrive damaged, I bought the same book that somebody else would have bought for $450 at $200. So you know what? That could buy me a whole nother book, and I'd be even happier. So think smart and get rid of luck and wishing and hopefulness and, you know, hating others because they're getting what you could get. The only difference between me and you is I was there when that was there, and I made the deal happen, and I wasn't afraid to ask for a lower price. That's the only difference. You can fix that. Put in the effort, put in the time, make sure you know what you're researching, act quickly, and go with a positive attitude. The ones that are nothing but negative will never succeed in life, and they will always have something to be negative about. That's not a great life for me. Hopefully it won't be for you. Thanks for watching, everybody. I appreciate the questions, and I will see you next video. Have a great day, everybody. Peace out.